The ibuprofen in my body, trying to figure out what to work on first. Yep, true story. Welcome back to the show. I'm Akorn, and this is Gen X and Millennial Meme Fridays, where nostalgia, memes, and middle-aged sash collide at 88 miles per hour. This is also the 88th episode of the Gen X series, as well as the second year anniversary of the channel. Well, actually I'm 2 weeks late, but who cares? Let's get into today's show, starting with today's pop quiz. In Back to the Future, what speed did the DeLorean have to reach in order to activate time travel? If you know, drop it in the comments. And while we're on the topic, I thought I'd add a small throwback to some of the early episodes in this series. So, in today's show, there are multiple references to Back to the Future throughout the program. Can you find them all? Grab your glasses and stay tuned. Wanting your life to be like an 80s movie, but you didn't specify which one. Be careful what you wish for. Teenagers back when they had to write an essay at 1 in the morning on a Friday with no AI. No AI? How about no Google or just no internet? Or even no computers for that matter? Couldn't you see kids today if they actually had to handwrite an entire essay? In November of 1989, Universal Studios created a giant billboard in Los Angeles with a clock counting down to the opening of Back to the Future 2. I wonder if that's hours, minutes, and seconds, or days, hours, and minutes. Either way, it's still a good way to advertise it. Blink 182 is classified as oldies now. We've had a good run. Time to order Life Alert. I know the name of the band. I cannot remember any of their songs though, but I know enough to know that that's really bad when Blink 182 is now classified as oldies. You millennials are catching up with us. This 1995 Walmart receipt feels like holding a piece of the Constitution. Pepsi, crackers, gift bags, a toothbrush, and what appears to be a radar? Also love how you could buy a hammock, detergent, and a 2-liter of Mountain Dew all in the same trip, like some sort of suburban survival kit. Actually, judging by their list here, I'd say they're going camping. And how many of y'all still drink Country Time lemonade? People over 30 watching their tomatoes ripen. Back when I was a kid, we used to have huge gardens. These days, you're just hoping the plant doesn't die. Especially if it's not GMO. Rewatched Terminator 2 last night. Fun movie about AI leading to nuclear war and how the easiest way to unalive someone is to dress up like a cop. Can't say its theme resonates today. I think I had this in a past episode on the Laugh While the World Burns show on Sunday, but it fits in pretty well here too. Hardcore feminists were outraged with the portrayal of Princess Leia in Return of the Jedi, especially after she's one of them. Well, I guess that's one of the possible alternative versions. Is this supposed to be a satire title? That if CNN in 1983 was like the CNN today? Lollipops are so weird. You flavor your own spit, then drink it. I was having a good day before I read this. I never thought about it that way, but they're right. Tell me what country you live in without telling me what country you live in. I can't tell if that's the Half-Ton or Ford Ranger. The creek was our water park. Yeah, this is very true. Spent a lot of time as a kid playing in the creeks. Catching tadpoles, fish, crawdads, and a lot more. There was even one time that I caught a scorpion at a lake. How many of you guys knew there's scorpions in Kentucky? I didn't know it until then. I think they said the ones that was there, if they stung you, it was about the equivalent to a bee sting. I still don't want to take a chance. They need to add a 2025 updated photo of this. They don't make them like they used to. No, they certainly don't, that's for sure. But I would really seriously consider parking somewhere else, because these days, I'd be really afraid that someone would just straight up slam right into that. The official sports drink when we were kids. Yeah, hose water, the best kind, and a whole lot better than bottled water. Speaking of which, the Gen X raised on hose water and neglect t-shirts are now back in the merch store. I've had some people asking, I just wanted to let you know, they are back in the merch store. And they're also available in both light and dark colors. Bringing back MySpace would humble some people so quickly. Imagine this generation having to deal with their friends ranking them. The world needs this. I absolutely agree. It does need this. An accurate representation of when you go from childhood to adulthood. Not really so much for our generation, but I could definitely see this picture being taken back in the 80s, cause there's a lot of them these days that wouldn't have the sense not to go down the slide, let alone the corner post of the swing balancing right on the edge. RoboVac from 1959. 66 years, and they still haven't perfected it. How many of you guys actually had a Sony Betamax TV in your house or your grandparents' house?
Hey, now that's just, that is, oh, what is that?
This is the Sony Betamax.
Console TV, right?
No, not quite. Betamax is a totally new concept in television entertainment.
What's inside the little box?
Oh, this is a Betamax cassette. Now, it's very much like an audio cassette, except that with Betamax, you record both picture and sound on the same videotape, which is protected right inside this cassette.
Well, how much can you get on there?
You can record up to 60 minutes on a single Betamax cassette. And the great beauty of videotape is you can use the same cassette over and over and re-record. In fact, why don't you load this cassette yourself and see how easy it really is?
Well, I don't want to take a chance.
Now, Mr. Davis, the Betamax is virtually indestructible with normal use. You don't have anything to worry about. Well, that's all there is to it. And once you've selected the channel that you want to record, you just drop in the Betamax cassette, and then you push these two buttons right here, and you're recording the picture and sound for whatever program you want.
Kids today lug around 40-ounce Stanley Cups like they're on a desert trek. Meanwhile, we survived on a single sip from a germ-infested water fountain between classes and called it a day. Yeah, that's why we still got a good immune system. Even if you never had one of these draped over the back of your couch, you knew someone who did. Yeah, my grandmother had several. Funny thing about getting older, your eyesight might get worse, but you can see through people's crap much better. Very true. I'm sure many of you will recognize this. If this is the future, I'd rather live in the past. Yeah, I completely agree. I certainly don't need a vehicle that can drive itself, especially if it's given a command remotely, nor a vehicle that can just be turned off at any time. Nothing hit harder than getting a free Pizza Hut personal pan pizza for reading Goosebumps. Peak literacy era. Smartphones, smart TVs, smart refrigerators, and smart cars. When are they going to start making smart people? They're getting pretty rare these days. They started running out of them in the 80s or maybe the early 90s. Back in the 80s, before YouTube stunts and safety gear, just one banana seat, a questionable ramp, and the unwavering belief that we were invincible. Too bad we can't bounce back from injuries today like we could back then. In 1989, Billy Idol held a 3-week-long party in a Thai hotel. He apparently caused $149,000 worth of damage and refused to vacate the suite. The military was called in, he was shot with a tranquilizer, and carried out on a stretcher. No wonder a lot of foreign countries hate to see Americans come over there, especially all these so-called influencers these days. How many of you guys used these welding rods when you were a kid? I'd say most of us did. Today's pop quiz question was, in Back to the Future, what speed did the DeLorean have to reach in order to activate time travel? The answer is 88 miles per hour. We have to go back in time and destroy AI at its source. You guys think this is right? Do you think a CNC is the source of AI? And if not, where did it originate? Backing into spots like this, even though there is a backup camera, because we got our driver's license in the 1980s. Fact check true. Screen time? Please. We were busy crafting fake skin from Elmer's glue. It's kinda interesting to see some of the filming locations like this. They also use this technique when showing photos of Mars. On today's episode of My Wife Insisted on Cutting the Grass. Well, the mower's probably mostly okay, but that AC is gonna cost you. Live somewhere you can listen to the birds in the morning and the crickets at night. Yeah, that's for certain. I certainly do not like living in the cities. If you know what this is, drop it in the comments. And extra points if you had one as a kid. I don't know how to act my age. I've never been this old before. They're not wrong. Do any of you actually know someone that got hit by one of these? Or did you ever stick one in the roof of your parents' house? Every problem has a solution. Now, what is the solution for this? You grab the snake, throw it to the crocodiles, climb down the tree, grab the axe, and take on the lion. Some people are like bags of Pampers, self-absorbed and full of crap. It's just facts. My family was not particularly photogenic in the 80s. That guy had to do that on purpose, but why? Just to have the funny photo, I guess. Because ripping the skin from your knee in a bike wreck wasn't painful enough. Sometimes I wish I could just rewind back to the old days and press pause just for a while. No, I'd rather be able to rewind back to a point that I choose and then just hit play and start back from there. The older I get, the more I understand why people live in the woods and talk to squirrels. We were rich in ways we didn't understand. Sunshine, freedom, and friends who felt like family. Back in my day, this was our iPad. Yeah, you could write on those until you just wear them out. How many of you guys had a flashlight like these? I definitely remember us having one of these. This is one of the best games that was ever made. Most people today would have no idea what this is. As the years go by, the more I realize the greatest gift I ever got was how I was raised and who I was raised by. Yeah, that is very true. The 80s. You don't know what you have until it's gone. While that is true, and while we did have all of this stuff back in the 80s, it's still just stuff. The time and the culture that we grew up in is what is really gone. If you recognize this scene, then you've seen one of the greatest films ever made. Burger King, home of the Whopper. Yeah, and today's version is just a pale imitation of what they used to be. There was also a Big Boys in one of the small towns that I grew up in. Captain Planet live-action series and works at Netflix from whoever Productions in a Payan way. Why is it these days that it doesn't seem like they're making any new movies, cartoons, or even shows that isn't just remakes, reboots, sequels, prequels, or spin-offs? It's like they got to the end of their movie scripts back in the 90s, and they've just kept recycling everything ever since.
Your grandson? No, I ain't gonna hurt his little feelings and things like that. Now, let me tell you something. Anybody that makes a Polak crack to my grandson gets a shot in the mush from me. I hate people that are always calling other people names. Now, your Irish mix are very big on that, with all their jokes, see? And the Mafia. Now, the Mafia, they're the ones that started the Polak jokes to take the heat off of the Dagos. So I don't want no more of your racial jokes around here because I can't stand people who are always knocking minorities. What's the matter, my fly open?
I can't stand being with this guy alone.
Come on down, will you? What are you doing up there?
A car brand that we used to see often, and this generation has never heard of. You don't even have to go that far back. I'd say most of them today don't even know what an Oldsmobile is. What other car brands would you guys choose? How many of you guys know what this is? And bonus points if you ever used one. The glory years when the average child needed the physical acuity and instincts of a Navy SEAL just to survive a regular day at the playground. Listening to new music. Listening to music older than me. There is actually some of the younger generation that does listen to more of the older music. The only new music I really listen to is some of the artists here on YouTube, especially country music, because there's a good number of singers now on YouTube that is putting out far better music than anything that's come out of Nashville in decades. Tom and Jerry, two cartoon characters that has spanned at least 6 generations now. How many of you guys used these when you were a kid? Some people are rich in ways that others will never understand. That is very true. Did any of you guys know someone who had a couch like this? Here I barely have room for a love seat. August 1st, 1981. Cable's first 24-hour music channel debuts. The first video MTV played was Video Killed the Radio Star by the Bugles. Yeah, and they continued to have music videos for about, 18 years? Somewhere getting close to 2000 or so? What's the best prison movie of all time? Shawshank Redemption, hands down. What movie would you guys choose? What do you call the end piece of bread? It's the heel. I've never heard it called anything else. Fun fact, a lot of people eat the heel first, just because it's the first slice of bread. But if you leave the heel on the loaf, it keeps the rest of the loaf from drying out. What tastes good with mustard, but you can't say a hot dog? Might sound odd, but some good plain potato chips dipped in mustard are really good. King Edward. My grandfather liked Prince Albert. I remember getting some of the empty tins when I was a kid. If you had to cook like this, could you do it? Could I do it? Who couldn't on a setup like that? Who knows how much that outdoor kitchen cost? We could get by on a whole lot less. Did any of you guys have a Zenith Space Command remote control? Wish these were still around. Yeah, my dad liked root beer floats made with A&W. I also like A&W root beer best. ICW root beer in the glass bottles isn't bad though. Age test? Who knows what this is? I've had similar memes like this in past episodes, and most of us remember this being the headlight switch to turn on your brights. But on some vehicles, and mostly equipment like tractors, these could also be a start switch. Do you think it's okay to correct your kids when they are misbehaving? Yeah, 1000%. And it's one of the major reasons that boomers, Gen X, and even the early millennials are far different than the younger generations as a whole. And the lack of it is also why there's so many problems in today's society. Did you know that Yoda was played by Kenyan-British actor Deep Roy in the scenes of Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back, which required Yoda to walk and move? Roy is 4 foot 4 inches, but to match Yoda's height, he had to perform on his knees. He was not credited for the role. I'm not going to read all this, but you guys can pause the video if you want to. But the part I found most interesting is where he played all 165 Oompa Loompas. I never knew that before. Twin popsicles were created during the Great Depression so that 2 children could share a treat for just a nickel. That's a pretty interesting little piece of history of where they originated from. Poor 80s kids. Rich 80s kids. Yep, this was true. Jaws in Canada. Never been that far north, but I know that a moose is no joke. My dad apparently sneaks his remote into a local bar so he can change the channel when he doesn't like what's on. I'm equally embarrassed and impressed. There's your pro tip, guys. Welcome to adulthood, where you'll be constantly tired, except when it's time to go to sleep. Far too often, that has been true. And I'll end today's show with this. If you peeled Campbell's soup labels and collected cereal box tops for school, ran behind your mother as she ran to the aisle that had the blue light special, played with a leggings egg as if it were a toy, if you remember busy signals, reruns, and a D battery-filled boombox weighing 53 pounds, you're not old, but you did have an amazing childhood. If you enjoyed today's show, please remember to like, subscribe, and share the video with your family, friends, and social media, as it really helps to support the channel. And before we go, there was 13 references to Back to the Future in today's show. Did you find it all? Drop it down in the comments. I'd like to thank all of our channel members, Super Thanks and Buy Me a Coffee users, and all of my subscribers and viewers for your support over these past 2 years, because this show is only made possible by viewers like you. And that brings us to the end of today's show. But I'll see you guys back here on Sunday's show. I thank you all for watching. You guys take care and stay safe this weekend. This is Akorn, over and out.